Welcome back to the QB Huddle Podcast. Tim Smith, joined as always by my podcast partner, Brandon Huey.
What's happening?
Thanks for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe. Our subscriptions are going through the roof right now. Like, share, and comment. Get involved, folks. We are having more involvement than we've ever had, so make sure that you are part of it. We have a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. First up, of course, as always, is college football. Brandon, what did you see this weekend on the college landscape? Because it was a big one. It was a big weekend.
A lot of upsets. But first we'll dive into the good old Longhorns. Texas rolls Florida. Rolls them. Now, it helps they were in Austin, because if they were at the Swamp, I think this was a different outcome. Quinn Ewers.
He finally looked like Quinn Ewers.
Good job, man. 300 plus, touchdowns. 5 TDs. Then we got, this is a setup for Texas. They control their destiny.
They do.
Will they roll into Georgia again? I don't know.
They can beat Georgia
now.
Like
the team that schematically it doesn't mesh well with Texas, right? So they got to avoid that by all means.
I think they can beat Georgia now. I think Carson Beck is become a shell of himself the last 4 weeks.
He's bad.
And
he hasn't looked good at all.
He's getting worse each and every week.
He's got 10 turnovers in 4 games, something like that.
How about Colorado, man? They came down to Lubbock. They dealt with tortillas being thrown at them. I mean, hey, guys, that's just what happens in Lubbock. It's not against you. That's just what happens in Lubbock. That's a tradition. I saw some of the Colorado players complaining about it. You should have been prepared for it. Hey, Colorado, that's a big win for them. And with Iowa State loss, it moves them to second in the Big 12. I think they have a shot to win that thing.
I think they do. I think they do. They roll big, especially with the Iowa State loss. Their second loss moves them to second in the Big 12. Their only hurdle that they have to overcome now is Utah, a depleted Utah, by the way, who almost beat BYU. And then BYU in the Big 12 championship. They control their destiny, moved to 10-2. They got a shot, and I think that is amazing for Prime. And the Colorado Buffs, I know everybody's been waiting to see them fall, but they have, ever since the loss to Kansas State, it just seems like they've firmed up so much, and they've really got into detail.
I don't agree that everyone's looking to see them fall. I think
100%.
I think some of the media had fair criticism early because of the changeover and all the things all the extra noise that was going on outside of Colorado. I think certainly there was reason for concern there. I don't know a single person. I don't know a single person in my real life that doesn't want Colorado to do well. I'm on a text message group, same as you, with 30, 40 people that when Colorado's on TV, everyone's excited. I think fair criticism is not necessarily wanting to see someone fail.
We're just glad to see him prepare and just
that narrative.
move forward, man. I know he's got young coaches.
It's going to be crazy for the Big 12 to have a championship game with 2 teams that weren't in the Big 12 a year ago. Like, that is going to be insane. The Big 12 obviously expanded and changed. All the conferences did. And speaking of conferences, we go to the Big 10. I know you love this. Indiana beat Michigan in the Big House. Indiana goes to 10-0 for the first time in program history, I believe. You asked the question, where's the program go from here? Man,
where do they go?
I don't know. They're a mess. I don't know what's going on with their recruiting. They've always been good at recruiting. Harbaugh's gone. He seemed to left them with a mess. Is Coach Moore the right coach? I thought he was a year ago when he stood in, but the roster was much different. He needs to prove to me that he can recruit. And so, it's going to be a 3 to 4 year progress for Michigan. They need to retool, revamp. They need a 5-star quarterback. They don't have one. And until they get that, it's going to be tough. Even their defense is as good as they are this year. Still good defense, but they're getting run through now because they're on the field all the time. Michigan just can't get out of their own way. This is probably worse than the Rich Rodriguez era right now. So easily the worst point that I've seen Michigan since I've been watching them since I'm about 8 years old. So
I don't think it's that bad, man.
It's pretty bad. They can't run the football. They can't throw the football. Defense is exhausted. Special teams is terrible.
Sound like us.
I don't ever remember losing to an Indiana team ever in my lifetime. Watching Michigan lose to Indiana.
I don't think anybody in Indiana has beaten too many big schools.
Terrible. Okay, let's move on. How about something good? And this was a crazy game. Jackson Dart, he didn't put up huge numbers, Brandon, but he beat Georgia. Jackson Dart and Ole Miss beat Georgia 13-22, 199, 1 touchdown. I like Jackson Dart. He used his legs a lot too, by the way. With a hurt ankle, he played through it. Did you get a chance to watch some of it? Because it was pretty impressive.
I did not.
Oh, that's sad.
Didn't get to see the game, but Ole Miss rolls them. That's a good victory for them. I wish they didn't lose those 2 before this, because is this really a big move? Is this really a jump? I mean,
beating Georgia is a big deal.
I mean, it is right now, but I mean, you got a lot of teams with 2 losses in that conference. And
it's going to be extremely interesting.
It's going to be very interesting to get
going down the stretch.
Yeah, to get in that stretch, absolutely. In Miami, number 4 falls down to the mighty Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Cam Ward runs out of magic, they say. Here's what I saw for him. Despite going 348, 3 TDs, he's got to get rid of the ball on time, man. There's some crucial moments, especially when you're backed up in your own territory. You've got to have that quick clock. And he tried to hold on to things instead of just throw it to the flats out of a trip set versus their 2-minute drill to be able to score, to tie up the game. And he just held on to the ball way too long. You've got to have that quick clock. And hopefully that doesn't translate to the NFL, which we're starting to see some of these quarterbacks have, backyard style play. But, it sucks because you want to see Miami in the mix, but hopefully they get a chance to win the ACC, maybe face a SMU team that is rolling right now, that is steamrolling. That'd be a fun game,
especially if it was here at SMU.
Oh, yeah, we definitely have to go for sure.
I saw Cam Ward getting a lot of hate on the socials after this game. People asking, do we want to talk about Cam Ward now and da-da-da-da-da, because he's been getting a lot of good press. I don't think this is on him. I think this goes back to a Miami team that's not very good defensively, that doesn't run the ball very well. They depend on Cam Ward for everything. He didn't turn the ball over. He still threw 3 touchdowns.
He had 2 fumbles, man, because he held on to the ball too long. So, and those 2 fumbles were very crucial. That turned into scores and one ended the game.
And you get some of that. I guess you're right. He needs to get a quicker clock.
Clean that up, man. Get rid of the ball, man. If it ain't there, let it go.
I can't say that, I don't believe in Cam Ward anymore, because I do. And I'm not going to say that this was on him 100%, because you know what? Some other guys have to step up on that Miami team. And it was only going to be a matter of time before he ran into a team that he wasn't going to be able to do it all against. And, Georgia Tech, that's a rival game. Georgia Tech does not like to lose to Miami. So that's a good win for them, good win for that program. What else you got, college-wise, before we move on?
College-wise, man, not too much. I mean, Ashton Genty rushed for over 200+ in another, 3-touchdown game. He's amazing to watch. Boise's getting a lot of recognition there. Now the Heisman hopefuls, you still got Travis Hunter in the lead, in my opinion. 99 receiving yards, 1 touchdown in the last game, but also I think he had 4 PBUs, a couple of big plays there too. Man, that dude's just an overall baller. I think it honestly should be, if I was to choose the 4 right now, I'm going to have to look at Travis Hunter. I'm going to have to look at the running back from Boise. I'm going to have to look at Cam Ward, just bringing Miami back from, bringing them back to the good old days back 20 years ago, right? I mean, that's still an accomplishment, leads the league, leads NCAA in touchdowns and yards. And also, I'm going to bring Shedeur. I mean, without Shedeur, him and Travis, man, that whole culture of Colorado, it runs through them. And Shedeur has played phenomenal in big games. In crunch time situations, he's thrived. Now, is the record going to hurt him a little bit? Sometimes it hurts, but I think overall, Shedeur definitely needs to be recognized for his
we go back to the criticism of Colorado earlier in the season. The criticism was there because the team's not very deep and they're not very good at the line of scrimmage. They don't have an overly impressive offensive or defensive line, and it's hard to win without that. But to your point, Shedeur, he is got to play a lot of backyard football, unfortunately, just based on what's happening. But he's doing a good job, and he's competing each and every week. He's playing through injury. He's had some nicks and bruises that he's had to play through, and my God, Travis Hunter, he's been unbelievable. He caught a screen the other night. I don't know if you saw the screen that he caught, the touchdown. He catches the screen, and I mean, within seconds, he's 10 yards upfield. He's breaking tackles, and he's just different than everybody else. So I look for, obviously Travis Hunter to win this thing, but to have two guys on your team is just a testament to, the criticism earlier was that the team wasn't very good as a whole, and it's not. Right, but Shador and Travis Hunter have them competing and might get them into the playoffs.
No, that team's good, Tim.
Really, I don't think they're not as good as some of these other teams we talk about. Like
I know that, but that team's good.
Indiana.
That team's good. That team's got depth. That team's coached well now.
That's why the record is what it is. And I'm just saying, Shador, I think, is a major. Him and Travis Hunter are the two major reasons. Oh. They even had to play without Horn this weekend, who's a really good wide receiver, by the way. And he didn't get to play this weekend. He was hurt. So to do it without their number 2 guy, you had other guys from Colorado stepping up and making big plays. Number 10, I don't remember his name, had a couple real good catches in that game. But to me, it's all about Shador and Travis Hunter. 2 Heisman hopefuls on that team is pretty impressive.
See what happens.
We'll see what happens. So we'll move on to the NFL. Before we get to your 49ers, Brandon, and the big win that keeps your season on life support, let's talk about some breaking news. Shane Waldron, who probably most of you don't know his name. He's the offensive coordinator of Chicago Bears, came from Seattle. He is fired. You're fired. In Chicago, makes sense. The Bears have one of the worst, if not the worst, offenses in the league. They're averaging about 165 yards through the air each and every week with the number 1 draft pick and a great receiver core. Offensive line is obviously an issue in Chicago. Scheme has obviously been an issue in Chicago, and Shane Waldron is out. Of course, this is Eberflus trying to save his job. The Bears are a very proud organization. They've never fired a head coach in the middle of the year, so probably not going to do it this year. But Eberflus, trying to save his job, Brandon, is starting to let go of assistants to try to make some changes. Thomas Jones is taking over. He was a running back at Georgia. He's bounced around the league. He's been with
he's the Bears running back.
Was he?
Yes. How do you not know this as a fan?
Boy, I don't remember Thomas Jones. It's the most generic name. I know he coached under Matt McVay for a little while. He's bounced around the league.
Hold on.
And he is now going to be running the offense, which to me the scheme is still broken. Brandon, can they change the scheme?
His brother's Julius Jones. Do you not remember?
I remember Julius Jones, 100%.
Okay. I was
Brandon,
about to say.
Will this help your young quarterback? I think it's hard to change an entire scheme. You're going to have to pretty much use what you have and try to shape it differently maybe. But how much is this going to help or hurt Caleb Williams, second offensive coordinator inside of one season?
Well, it could hurt, or it could turn around some things.
Oh, that's very astute of you.
Because stupid. Because for one, you have a new OC. He's got to find his niche. What works? Well, he was a former running back, so he's obviously want to ground and pound. However, this could be an opportunity for him to think outside the box, utilize Caleb's skill set, use some of the plays that made him really good, and implement those into the offense. One thing that I don't see from the Bears offensively, from a scheme standing, they do nothing that he used to do. Nothing. He's always under center. It doesn't fit him. He's just not that kind of guy. Now, if he was in a quick scheme, like it's a lot of long plays developing, and he doesn't see the field very well. It's still deer in headlights look. Everything's too fast. Maybe when he runs, it slows down. But I think for the new OC, cater to his skill set, man. If you do, live and die by it. Don't go to the same thing. Don't do the same crap expecting different results. That's a definition of insanity. And the Bears have been insane for the past almost decade when it comes to quarterbacks. Doing the same shit over and over and over, expecting different results. I think this is an opportunity for Thomas Jones to really, really get his hands on this thing and say, hey, we're living and dying by you. We're going to cater to your skill set. Go get it done. Let's see what happens. Because they have yet to do that with any quarterback they have drafted.
Correct.
So here's an opportunity. Will they do it? Hell no, because that's the Bears.
We're going to see what happens. I made a joke this morning as I'm watching NFL Network that they've been running the old 1985 offense, and right as I say that, they start talking about handing off to the linemen, and I looked to my wife. I said, "See, they used to hand the ball off to the fridge in 1984 and 85. I told you they're running that same bullshit offense from back then. That's why they can't get anywhere."
That's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Terrible, man. Look, listen, folks. We say it every single week on this show. Coaching and situation matter. We talked about Caleb being set up, and he was with the receivers, right, and a good defense. But you know what they forgot to do was, number one, create an offense that really helped him in his skill set, and number two, build an offensive line. If you don't do those two things, I don't care who your receivers are, man, your quarterback's going to have a long day each and every Sunday, and that's what's
build that wall.
Got to build the wall.
And we're not talking about the border. No.
Oh boy, let's not get into that. So here we go. NFL time. The 49ers season is back on life support. Big win this weekend. Take it away. Give us your 49ers recap.
Hell, we almost blew that damn game. 3 turnovers on special teams. Kyle was about to find a way to get back into his same BS. 4 minutes ago, we could milk the clock. Guess what we did instead of run the ball? Guess what we did? We threw the ball 3 times straight.
3 in a row.
And had to punt again. And then we got penalized over and over and over again. I guess Nick Bosa and Baker Mayfield are buddies, because I think that play was phenomenal by Baker, but I think Bosa was trying to find a way not to get penalized. He's like,
so we're gonna diminish the stiff arm that Baker gave to Bosa.
I mean, it was like he was just holding his arm like
Bosa
this. Dude,
didn't want to tackle him.
I personally think he was trying to find a way not to get a penalty.
Listen, Baker Mayfield played amazing.
Oh, he played his tail off. That's the Baker.
Talk about a guy that has no weapons around him. He's doing the best he can. I feel bad for him. I feel so bad for him. Oh, he played so good. Anyway,
here's a guy I don't feel bad for right now, and he's finally got some weapons and found a new target in Slick Rick. Brock Purdy was on fire, man. Brock Purdy, this was one of his best games, and I tell you why. Because CMC only had 39 rushing yards. You only ran Jordan Mason one time. You ran Garindo one time. Yet in mind, Jordan Mason is the second best rusher in the league right now statistically. So you didn't have a running game at all. Brandon Ayuk is out. You have a new rookie receiver in Ricky Pearsall, right? You have Debo coming back. He's still a little banged up. Kittle's a little banged up. Jawan Jennings came back. He's a little banged up. But my man aired it out, was very efficient. Almost 75% completion, 353, 2 TDs, and no turnovers. No turnovers is what I'm focused on, right? It was good play, smart play, right? He threw an absolute dime to Kittle on 3rd and long and bought time with his feet, rolled out to his left, flipped his hips, and threw it in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. Tony two-tap by Kittle. I thought that was phenomenal. And for you guys to sit here and tell me that Brock is just a system quarterback, you don't know football. You don't know football. I hate to say it, don't know football. And I'll stand on that. Because this guy's been doing absolutely everything he can without the weapons. And they're not very healthy.
Me, right? You're not talking to me.
No, I'm talking to the world. Talking to all of you who slander my boy.
I've been on
I understand BP can have a bad game. He's due for 1 or 2. But right, what I'm seeing the growth from Brock Purdy. I just wish Kyle really would pull back a little bit, let him give the opportunity to check in and out of plays. I think that is what we're truly missing. That can is obviously to a run of the opposite side of the string. So we know your offense, Kyle. Now it's time to expand on it, because you got a guy in Slick Rick that can actually get in and out of man coverage, which is good. We need a man beater guy. Is Ricky the guy right now? Not sure. He's still young. But this is the perfect opportunity for Kyle to rotate backs and Kyle to rotate some young receivers and see what type of talent we have moving forward. It was an ugly-ass win, but I'll take a win.
All right. Well, I think you got some problems coming up. I mean, just looking at the schedule.
Our schedule is a monster.
Seahawks, who I'm not that impressed with anymore.
We're going to beat them.
You've got to go to Green Bay and play the Packers.
Going to beat them.
Easy. Then you've got to go to Buffalo. You're not winning that game in Buffalo.
Beating Buffalo.
You are not beating Josh Allen.
Beating Buffalo.
I think we're going to have another bet for that game. Bears,
beating Buffalo.
You're going to beat Chicago. If you don't beat Chicago, you should fire everybody.
Beating Rams, Chicago.
This is the game that, to me, is going to really be big for your division when you have to play the Rams on December 12th, 7:15.
Beating the Rams.
Then you've got to go to Miami.
Beating them.
Back. And then here's the game that could knock you out of the playoffs completely, and that's when the Lions come to town on December 30th at 7:15. And then you've got to play the Cardinals.
I don't know if we're beating them.
Wait a minute. You can't say, I don't know if we're beating the Lions at home, but you're sure you're going to beat Buffalo in Buffalo.
We beating Buffalo.
I hope it's a snowstorm.
Mark it down.
All right. And then you got the Cardinals.
You're going to have to wear another jersey.
You may have to beat the Cardinals to get into the playoffs if you have a chance.
Beating them too.
Oh, boy. That's in Arizona, and Kyler
beating them too.
Rolling, boy.
Kyler's going to be on Call of Duty for a while. We got him. This is when we get him.
All right. Well, Call of Duty's been out for a minute.
He's to his campaign.
Bro, that campaign is fire.
Hey, they got it on Game Pass right now.
He's looking really good. I know we're supposed to talk about the Cowboys next. I know everybody wants to talk about
let's talk about them. Spill the beans.
I don't want to talk about him.
What you sorry guys do?
Cooper Rush got 45 yards passing. Bro, anybody that gets under 100 yards as an NFL quarterback with more than 15 passes in a game should be fired and never allowed back in the building. I'm sorry, Trey Lance, get the guy loose, let him play. Shit, you traded for him. Let's see, are we going to sign him? Are we going to trade him? Are we going to let him go to free agency? Cooper Rush, 45 yards. I know this team is bad. I didn't think they were that bad. We only had 97 yards rushing as a team. Zeke fumbles in the red zone, which is supposed to be, his forte at this point. He's missing meetings, late to meetings. He gets suspended, doesn't make a trip, comes back, fumbles in the red zone. Defense showed up early, I thought, with a lot of energy. Looked really, really good. Trayvon Diggs had an amazing interception in the back of the end zone off of Jalen Hurts, but that fizzled out pretty quickly. It's just everyone's going to go, coaching staff-wise. I wish that front office, they would make a bunch of changes. Obviously, they won't. Jerry won't fire himself. He should. Cowboys are a mess. The season has been over. This was not necessarily all Cooper's fault. Cowboys weren't playing any better with Dak Prescott, so it doesn't really matter. But 45 yards, that's awful. I don't know. That's terrible. Let's not get too far anymore with that. The Cowboys are done.
You're bad.
49ers are in life support. The Bears are done. The Cowboys are done.
Barely.
So here we go. It's not.
We both may be on the couch. Here we are.
Yeah, it's not good for the two of us. And this is the worst I've seen the Cowboys
in a long time.
I don't remember the last time I've seen them this bad.
I do.
I mean, 1980 when they won one game.
Weren't they pretty bad like a few years
better
back?
Even then,
when Dak got hurt. Weren't they pretty bad a few years back when Dak broke his ankle?
I don't know if they were
pretty bad. Wasn't there a period where Romo was bad? Like he got injured and they had like a 5-win season. Something?
You had Kitna come in and be the quarterback.
I mean, you got 3 wins. You can squeeze out 2. You can beat New York. You got New York again.
I don't know. Daniel Jones running people over now. I don't know if we can.
Daniel Jones may be benched after the debacle the other night.
Well, the Giants are another whole shit show that needs to be examined at some point.
We may not see Daniel Jones again in the Giants.
Oh, wow. He just won an angry runs this morning.
Oh well,
from Kyle Brandt.
He might be on a game by game thing.
Game by game,
because he has a $20 million injury.
No one's going to take that.
It's an injury clause.
Oh,
and
I'm saying no one's going to.
So it's pretty much what fell under Andy Dalton, what fell under Derek Carr, what fell under Russell Wilson. They're about to do the same thing with Daniel Jones.
Damn.
And they're probably going to bench him to hey, we ain't got to pay this guy. Let's get him the hell out of here. So
I guess
stay tuned and locked in on that. Won't be surprised if they drop that news after next week that they are not moving forward with Daniel Jones again.
I guess that proves that size just because you're a big, strong guy doesn't necessarily translate to you being a great football player.
My man hasn't thrown a touchdown at home in 3 years.
I know. I had a lot of hope for him initially, but
wow,
it's not good. Let's go to the rookie watch. Man, we had a couple rookies show out this weekend. I thought Bo Nix, man, he borderline outplayed Patrick Mahomes.
Borderline, he did.
Well, I say,
I mean, obviously
Patrick Mahomes won the game, but wow, Bo Nix, 22 of 32, 15, 2 touchdowns. That's solid against a very good Chiefs defense. What happened there, man? I thought they were about to pull off the upset.
I didn't watch the game too much, but I know for a fact that Kansas City somehow just has refs in their pocket. I mean, I don't know. I can't call it, man. They blocked the
field goal. How can you blame that on refs?
I mean, I get it. It's just something about, I don't know. I can't put my finger. You keep it close, they're going to win.
It's dirty, man. They remind me of the 1983
haven't found a formula to beat the Chiefs. No one has.
No, it's going to happen this weekend. They're going to lose this weekend. Buffalo. Ooh. They have to go to Buffalo this weekend. It's over.
10-0.
9-1.
10-0.
9-1. The win streak is over this weekend. Caleb Williams, we talked about him. He was absolutely terrible. The issues lie with everybody, from the front office to the coaching staff to the offensive line. As a Bears fan, the last couple of weeks have been terrible. And like we said, Shane is fired. Bye-bye. Everflus will be gone next year. And then we'll move on. Jaden Daniels, woo, what a game in Pittsburgh, dude.
Solid performance, man.
He did. He showed great efficiency is what is exciting to me in watching him play. He's not reckless like some of the other rookies, like a Caleb. He plays
like all of them.
He plays within the offense. I mean, shoot, Bo Nix, generated that game-winning drive until the field goal got blocked. I mean, he didn't have any touchdowns, didn't have any interceptions. Kind of blah in that sense. The Steelers are very, very good.
He wasn't very efficient. I mean, he was 50% completion.
That's not bad for a rookie, though. I mean, we're holding him to the standard for a rookie. We're holding him to a different standard. What he's been doing.
This guy was throwing for 80% completions. Come on now. Hold on now. Hold on now. Look out on him now.
Worst passing game of the year, probably.
No, he's had some.
Well, I'm batting for Jaden Daniels. I love
Jaden Daniels, but I'm just saying I think we're putting the anointing oil on him too fast. He's had 3 games this year where he was under 55% completion.
He's a rookie.
This was actually his worst game. He had a 36 QBR this week.
I still say efficient.
That's his worst. Well, he had a 31
because they were in the game. I mean, they lost by 1 point. It's not like.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I think
played great.
He's taking care of the ball. He's 12th in yards. He's 21st in TDs. He's 4th in QBR. 9 TDs to 2 picks. I mean, he's done pretty well. I'll give him that. But
what was it?
I don't think they're asking him to do too much, though, which is pretty good.
That's a good thing. What surprised me was how Pittsburgh was able to keep him in the pocket and not allow him to run. He had 5 yards rushing. That's got to give Pittsburgh some hope as they have to play Baltimore here, because you got to think about that. Jaden Daniels.
This is like rivalry week, it feels like.
It is. And Jaden Daniels has been heavily compared to Lamar Jackson. They just held Jaden Daniels to 5 yards. So can they have the same type of game plan versus Lamar? Now, what the Ravens bring that Washington doesn't? Derrick Henry. So that's a different ball game. But going to be a great one in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh currently in the lead in that division, while the Ravens are sitting at the wild card spot, even at 7-3. Pittsburgh wins this game, and it just puts them that far much ahead of the Ravens. So this is, I feel like, a must-win for Baltimore if they want to get some home playoff games.
Yeah,
big one. It's a big one.
That's a big one. Then you got the Commanders versus the Eagles on Thursday night. Ooh.
That's a big one.
The Thursday night games have been better than all the Sunday games. What is up with that?
Sunday's going to be great because we already talked about the noon game, and then in the later hour, I believe it's a 3 o'clock hour, you have the Bills taking on the Chiefs at home, which is always a must-watch game. So Sunday's going to be a great day of football. Last Sunday, kind of blah. This Sunday, it's going to be pretty great. We got one more rookie to talk about. That's Drake May. He beat Chicago on the road, certainly outplayed Caleb. What are you seeing from Drake May with really just not a very good football team, but he seems to be getting better and better?
It's athletic, man. He's got a little bit of Josh Allen in him. He reminds me of him. Just big. He can run. He's not afraid to run. Can he be reckless sometimes? He can, but he's learning. I feel like, so far, if you just kind of go back and look at some of his starts, he's got 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. Like, granted, that one pick you got to learn from, but he's a gunslinger, man. And he's just going to keep threatening. I think what he's doing is okay. I really haven't just studied him. But from what I see, just based off looking at him, he's been pretty efficient. Tennessee in overtime, he was 70%. Chicago against one of the toughest pass defenses. He had 1 turnover, 1 sack, but, he was 60%. His passing was 7.4 yards a pass, which is pretty darn solid, So you just got to keep it up, man. He doesn't really have a lot of weapons besides Stevenson. Yeah. That's about it. Yeah. And maybe Kendrick Bourne, but he's injured, so.
Not a good football team.
Not a good football team, man. Not a lot of help with old Drake May. Now, if he was with the Giants, might be a little different. I think if he was with the Commanders, Broncos, might be a little different.
Yeah.
Maybe even the Bears might be a little different.
No, it'd still be a mess in Chicago. Doesn't matter. We've proven that. We've proven that in Chicago. It doesn't matter. Right. I don't care who you bring in.
Man. Let's roll.
Let's go. We're on fire. I'm going to let you start because your favorite quarterback outside of Brock Purdy is number 1 on your list for On Fire this week. Talk about that amazing game that people probably forgot about already from last Thursday.
Dude, absolutely insane.
Best game of the year so far.
This part 2, because the other one was just as good. Between the two of them, Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, I put both of them because they were extremely efficient. Yeah, they threw for a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns, no turnovers. These guys have had combined between the 2 games 17 touchdowns to no interceptions and over 1,400 yards total between the 2
amazing.
In 2 games. That's absolutely insane.
It's crazy. Wow. Joe Burrow can throw 5 touchdowns in that game and lose. Meanwhile, Jared Goff throws 5 interceptions in his game and wins the game. Just shows you the team matters, right? No matter who the quarterback is.
Well, a little difference. One other guy on the other team couldn't get the ball back in the end zone outside of 1 touchdown. So kind of let him back in the game. But if you got a guy, these two were just going back to back. I remember there was a period they were down. Ravens were down 21-7. Then they ended up coming back. This is the 3rd consecutive Thursday night game that we've seen where these Thursday night games look better than the Sunday night games.
And usually the Thursday night games have been
normally they're very slow, close
they've
game.
Been good. We do have to bring this up, I think. I think it's important, and I'm not one to cry about referees. I'm not necessarily a Bengals fan, but on a 2-point conversion, a play that really decides the game, the refs they got to be better. There's a clear hands to the face on a defensive tackle to an offensive lineman, a clear hands to the face when the guy punches Joe Burrow in the face mask. And then there's holding on the backside tight end. And when I say holding, yes, you can make contact. You can't bring the player to the ground. And there's 2 guys there, and they both brought the tight end to the ground. I feel like it was no holds barred on the last play. And they just said, all right, you're going for 2.
Let him play.
And I agree with let him play.
I don't mind it. I'm not opposed to it.
You can't punch the quarterback in the face, bro. You just can't do it. And I didn't like that they didn't call that. But what a game! Regardless of somebody had to lose.
Game.
Somebody had to lose. It was awesome. But continue
Joe
because
Burrow's
your guys
been
next.
On fire, boy. Joe Burrow's been on fire, man. If you just go back
doesn't
and
have
look,
a defense.
Well, it's because he took the max deal,
away.
dude. Like immediately, he needs to restructure. If you just go back and look at some of the games that Joe Burrow has had. He's
had
insane,
2 of the 3 5-touchdown games this year.
In the month of November, he's had 9 touchdowns already, and we're just halfway through it.
and the Bengals are almost.
I mean, right now he's got
out of the
24
playoffs.
TDs to 4 picks. I think he leads the league. He's tied for touchdown passes and in first in yards. And so he's coming off a game where he was 5 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns this game, 5 touchdowns the previous game. Man,
I'm sorry, 4. Yeah, he threw 4, not 5 in this game. He threw 5 last week. My fault.
He threw 4.
My mistake.
And so, yeah. So
they're 4-6, dude. They're 4-6 with a top 5 quarterback on your roster and a top 5 wide receiver. You're 4-6. Defense matters.
It does, man. You got to take that deal, man. You got to take the deal. Front the contract. And now Lamar is second in passing yards, tied for first in touchdowns, and he's first in QBR. Funny how
Lamar's
that is.
having a
But
great season.
our next, Sir Purdy, BP, you're back, baby. One of your best performances I've seen since the Cowboys of last year. You were dialed in, man. You were dialed in, made all the plays that you need to. Game-winning drive within 41 seconds. He goes 4 for 4. Well, really, he was 4 for 5 minus a spike. 353 yards. That is a career high for Sir Purdy. And he's implemented some new receivers that have come out to play. Jawan Jennings is now our number 1 receiver, along with Ricky Pearsall and Debo to go together with him. Kittle's showing out, man. He's just got some good weapons. Hopefully CMC stays healthy, but I really feel like Kyle needs to allow this guy more autonomy at the line of scrimmage. I mean, his greatest weapon is his mind. And so you need to expose it and utilize it. So that's who I have. Who you got?
Okay. Well, before I go to who I got, before we get off the 49ers completely, man, I didn't like what I saw from Debo this weekend, taking a shot at his long snapper's throat and then like kind of punching at him, then walking away. Look, bro, we saw your pregame outfit. You ain't fighting nobody. All right? You're not physical like that.
Super
that dude was
nasty.
That dude was going to mess.
What is that?
Up. Dude, you can't punch dude in the neck and then walk off, first of all.
You can't be named Debo and walk out like you're from the Village People.
Right? Golly, wearing a skirt to the game. Dude, what
trash.
Like a skirt short. Listen, I don't care about what you wear, whatever, that's you. But we know you're kind of soft offside the football field. That big white boy was going to crush you. Don't punch your teammates in the neck, Debo. Stop that. You're better than that.
It wasn't good, man. It wasn't good, but I understand the accountability situation. Dude, make the kicks.
Okay, well, I mean, lift them up.
I'm tired of it. Jake Moody always misses kicks.
The way, the long snapper, he's not the kicker. He's not kicking the ball.
Oh, I understand, man. It's just, man, you know how kickers get, man. They get all in their head and shit, man. Just kick the ball.
I get it.
Stop worrying about it.
Brandon, you know better. We never talk shit to the kicker because we're going to need that dude, and you needed him later in the game. So, just saying. Lift them up. Don't ever talk shit to the kicker because they're nuts. Those kickers are crazy. Sorry to all the kickers that we know, but y'all are crazy. You live in your own world. And I think every kicker should be good at golf. What do you think?
All the kickers I have are cool, though.
I mean, they're cool, but they're crazy.
I don't remember any crazy kickers.
You don't yell at them when they miss a kick is all my point.
No.
Kickers don't yell at us when we miss throws. So we don't
yell but I mean, you miss 3 straight?
Well, then you might have a talking, like a pep talk. Maybe a pep talk. Pep talk. If anything.
I'm tired of that, man. But here's our thing. Here's our issue.
How about we just score? Handle that.
How about we just score?
That's what the kicker should have said. Stop relying on me and score some damn touchdowns, Debo. That's what I would say.
I see you got Mr. Unlimited in here.
Russell Wilson, 3 touchdown game. 3 was a starter in Pittsburgh. Loving Russell Wilson. I was against the move, but Mike Tomlin and company knew what they were doing when they made it.
Why he gets paid what he gets paid.
He's been on fire. My guy, I put him in here. Justin Herbert. I put him in here for efficiency. 14 of 18, up there looking like Jared Goff. 164 yards, 1 touchdown. He averaged 9.1 yards per pass play, though. That is well above the league average. He added 32 yards on the ground with a rushing TD. We're starting to see college Herbie coming around under Jim Harbaugh. Love Harbaugh being in Los Angeles. I wore the jersey today because Herbert showed out. They got another big win, and the Chargers are ascending, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to let you take the next one.
Yeah, funny you say that, 9.1 per pass play. You know what's funny? Brock Purdy has averaged 9.6 his entire career.
It always comes back to Brock Purdy somehow.
VP in the mix. I got my man, Kyler freaking Murray.
Oh, of course.
Mr. Efficient. Thank you for that fantasy points, brother, even though I lost. But 22 at 24, 266 passing yards, 1 TD, 2 on the ground. Absolutely awesome. Now, we got to give Baker, despite the loss, man, that boy battled.
He is a
I'll take
warrior.
Baker Mayfield on my team any day.
Any day of the week.
Any day of the week. Give me a quarterback like that. He's got that linebacker mentality. I love that. I got Jalen Hurts, man, back-to-back weeks with 4 total TDs. You may hate it, but he's moved him into 34-11 in his last 45 games, which is the second best record in the entire NFL. Only Mahomes has a better record.
Well,
how you like that, Tim?
You know what?
He's in your division.
I don't like it. I'm going to say the Eagles are a very good football team. They have a very good roster. And Saquon Barkley is the best thing that ever happened to Jalen Hurts. So
is it?
I think so.
Because I could have sworn Jalen is only 2 years removed from a Super Bowl appearance and a runner-up in MVP.
They've always had good running backs. They've always had, but Saquon's different than the other good running backs.
Well, Saquon's different than any back in the league, him and King Henry.
Here's what I want to say about. I know this is a quarterback show, but I want to say this right now. Saquon, Derrick Henry, a few other guys are proving, in my eyes, the running back position needs to be reevaluated. We devalued it for the last 4 or 5 years. And some of these guys are making huge differences. Coaches, get back to running the football, and let's get back to valuing the running backs because they are important. And there's teams out there that will tell you, the Dallas Cowboys, who don't have a running back, running backs are important.
Running backs matter.
Running backs matter. I want to give a side note to Jared Goff. He joins Tony Romo and Matt Ryan as the only 3 quarterbacks in history to throw 5 interceptions in a game and win. By the way, Joe did throw 5 interceptions last week and lost. Not to the Ravens, but the week before the Ravens game. So I got to give him some flowers because he stuck in it. He kept going out there, and they won the football game.
He'll probably never do that in his entire life again.
Well, we hope not. We don't like to see 5 interceptions.
So this is what happens when you don't have a running game and you see Jared Goff is forced to throw the ball.
And Brandon,
that's how you stop them.
I was ready to come out and say, you know what? Jared Goff showed that without a running game, he's an average quarterback. And I think he still showed that, right? And guys, most quarterbacks, 98% of quarterbacks need a run game to be successful. I would say it's the only reason Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. He never had a run game to back him up. I think that, again, the running back has been devalued. We need to value it back up again. And wow, did they stop that run game? Because when you stop the run game, there's no play action. You know, the play action is not fooling anybody if you can't run the ball successfully, and that's what they live off of. And he's not a drop back passer. I think we learned that without a shadow of a doubt. Would you agree?
I can't believe you put Jared Goff on fire. I think this is the first quarterback ever in the history of QB Huddle to be on fire and in the garbage juice all at once.
Listen, I have to give him a side note because of the record. Because
Hell no.
One of 3 guys to ever do it. And I got to give you credit for you're like a boxer who you're like Rocky at that point. You just keep going in and getting punched in the face, getting knocked on the canvas, and you just keep getting back up and throwing blows. So I don't know if I could do it. I mean, to be honest with you, there's not a single team I played on that after 3 interceptions, I got a chance to throw 4. I can tell you that. And I never threw 3 in a game.
3 in one game, and that was just like, what is going on?
I threw 2 in a game and was told if I throw a 3rd, I won't get a chance to throw a 4th. That was with the Dallas Diesel, and so I did not throw a 3rd. No, I don't have it. I'll look for it.
I need some film on YouTube.
We have to talk to Jackie Bridges. He might have some film. He might be the only guy that has the film. Let's go to garbage juice. This is a very full bucket. Very full
17 bucket. 17 interceptions in the garbage juice segment. 17
combined. That's too many. That's too many.
And there's one that didn't even throw an interception, but we still going to talk about him.
Yep. We've already talked about him, but we're going to talk about him some more. You want to go down the list?
Mr. Flacco didn't look good. Daniel Jones didn't look good. Sam Darnold, back to being Sam Darnold. Mac Jones, you finally get an opportunity to come back home and you start. What happened to Trevor Lawrence? Did he get benched?
I believe he was benched or he's dealing with some sort of an injury of some kind. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, nobody talked about it. Cooper Rush, 45 yards, brother, in a game. And you've been on that team for how long?
5-1 as a starter and throws.
Don't worry,
45
I'll wait.
yards.
You can't do that. Next, C.J. Stroud. Without Nico Collins, man, you doesn't look
Or
good right
Stephen
now.
Diggs. Yeah.
Gotta
Two on
clean
the
it
team.
up. Jared Goff, 5 interceptions. Get on in there. Even though you battled back and won, hey, you literally started the fire.
We're literally going to take Jared Goff.
If it wasn't for both of your running backs rushing for 120 yards, you wouldn't have had those that time.
If it
They
wasn't
ran
for,
120 yards each.
if it wasn't for winning, he wouldn't have been on fire. We would have set him on fire. That would have been the difference.
Yeah, and last but
was
not
bad.
least,
And Aaron Rodgers.
old man Rodgers.
Dude, Aaron Rodgers
That's what I'm calling him.
he's cooked.
Old man Rodgers.
He's done. It's over.
He's done. It's over with.
It's over. And
It's
this
over.
goes to prove, I think, that some of the stuff, he had arm talent. Some of the stuff he was doing in Green Bay, he had great receivers around him, and some of it was just flat out luck. But he's terrible in New York. The entire Jets, by the way, have 30 guys coming up at the end of their contracts at the end of the year. That team is done for years to come. The Jet fan base, I'm sorry for y'all, but I don't see a way out. Like, it's going to be really bad for the New York Jets for a very long time.
Say Adams doesn't look the same. Like,
No.
if I was Garrett Wilson, hell,
Right.
get out.
It wasn't his.
Get out.
Yeah, get Wilson out of there. This
Get out.
wasn't a Zach
Run.
Wilson
Sauce
either.
Gardner. Run.
Yeah, everyone
All
go.
you young cats, run.
Get out of there.
Don't
It's not
sign
good.
the big deal. Go find someplace else. Go get a better organization.
It's
That
not
is a
good.
dumpster fire since I was a kid, and it's still a dumpster fire.
Oh, the Jets haven't been good. They had that one good year under Sanchez, but they haven't been good since Ken O'Brien was the quarterback in the 80s. That's how bad the Jets are.
Damn.
Oh, poor Jets. All right. That's enough of the bad garbage juice. All right, folks, listen, this is not a San Francisco 49ers podcast, but the 49ers are on somewhat of a life support right now. They're in the hospital. They just got off the feeding tube. They're able to eat again, but we're not sure. We're not sure if they're going to make it, but we had a Brady moment in San Francisco this weekend. Was it San Francisco? Is that where they played? Where was it? Where'd they play?
Tampa.
They played in Tampa. Oh, yeah.
Even
Tampa Bay should
better.
have won this game. Baker
Even
Mayfield
better.
comes back. He scores.
No, this game should have been a blowout if
scores
Jake
what he thinks
doesn't
is
miss
gonna be the
3
winning
field
drive.
goals.
So talk about what happens after Baker Mayfield goes down and thinks he's won the game.
You know,
Or put the game in overtime, I think it was.
they kicked the field goal. It's tied up. Now, they have a legal formation, which causes us to move 10 yards up, which puts us, I think it was like at the 40. Brock goes 4 for 4. No big deal, right? Nice little completions. Hitting them in stride, hitting them on time, avoided sacks, avoided turning the ball over. We needed it when it mattered the most, and he delivered in a very crucial time. Brock Purdy doesn't get a lot of opportunities to do this. So this was something that I think all Niner fans were really crossing their fingers, because he's only had, 3 or 4, I think this is his 3rd comeback win in the NFL. He hadn't had an opportunity to do it, man, but he was 4 or 5. His only completion was a spike. I thought it was very efficient, very well ran. He put Jake Moody in a position to make the game-winning field goal despite missing 3 straight field goals. And they come out and win the game. It's beautiful. Orchestrated the right way, right? Hopefully Kyle wasn't the one calling the plays. He said, hey, Brock, just go do you, right? Because we don't need him to call plays in crucial moments, because Banana Hand's going to banana hand every time.
Okay.
And he almost banana hand again in the 4th quarter with 4 minutes left. So I can go down the rabbit hole. But salute to Brock Purdy. Like I said, this is one of the best games I've seen him play all year. It feels good to have back-to-back wins, back-to-back no turnover games. Let's see what they can do. That's it. Good win, BP. Good win.
Dun, 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 dun. There you go. I wish we had some music to close that off. I know you were
Is it
super-
what if? All
Thunder.
right, go. I'm going to let you run away with this.
Bro, this could have changed the entire landscape of the NFL. It changed the landscape of the NFL when it happened.
Okay.
Imagine for a second that the Dallas Cowboys and Jimmy Johnson, whose decision it was, never trades away Herschel Walker. This sent a ripple through the NFL. 3 teams were involved with the trade, including 18 players. The Cowboys got 2 linebackers, a corner, and a DN. Jesse Solomon, David Howard, Isaac Holt, Alex Stewart. They also got a first, a second, and a 6th-round pick in 1990. They got a first and a second in 91, and a first and a second and a third in 92 from Minnesota. San Diego was also involved in this trade. They got the running back from Minnesota, Darren Nelson, at the time. The Vikings got Walker, a 3rd-round pick from Dallas in 1990, a 5th round from San Diego, and a 10th round in 1990, and a 3rd round from Dallas in 91. In 1989, the Cowboys had gotten Troy Aikman. They had gotten Daryl Johnston, Mark Stepnowski, their center, amongst others. In 1990 came Emmitt Smith with the departure of Herschel Walker. In 91 came Russell Maryland, Alvin Harper, Eric Williams, Tony Hill, Leon Lett, and Larry Brown with all those draft picks. If the Cowboys don't make that move, they don't have those draft picks. They aren't able to build their offensive and defensive line. Chances are they aren't winning Super Bowls. And does that make the Bills then, are they the team of the 90s winning all the Super Bowls? I think you have to talk about it, because that Herschel Walker trade, that was Jimmy Johnson's idea, literally changed everything for the Dallas Cowboys and so many other franchises. That was a huge ripple effect, that Herschel Walker trade. Do you remember it even? You're pretty young.
No, I don't. You're showing your age. I don't even know half the players you mentioned besides Herschel Walker.
That's the point.
And I've never seen Herschel Walker play in real life.
Herschel Walker was a man.
I saw him play. I saw him on YouTube. He had like the Thurman Thomas bar, right? Yes, obviously it shakes things up. I just find it hilarious you bring this topic up, because despite your depressive state that you're going through with your Cowboys now, that you had to go back 40 years ago to relive this thing.
I had to, because, again,
how trash is this?
Jerry Jones thinks it was him. It was this trade of Herschel Walker that allowed the Cowboys and Jimmy Johnson to build that roster that won 3 Super Bowls, right? It was Jimmy Johnson. It was never Jerry. Jerry, fire yourself right now. Go into your office and fire yourself, because this wasn't your idea. And without
my man wanted to relive something that happened in the 90s.
Bro, it was amazing.
My God. He's like, man, you remember back in 91, man, that damn Herschel trade, man. Man.
I am that old. I remember this like it was yesterday.
When I read this, I was like, oh, man. He went back to reminiscing.
So answer the question, though. This is a what if. Do the Bills end up winning Super Bowls instead of the Cowboys?
No.
The
Niners.
Oh, my gosh.
The Niners. This was the transition in 91 from Montana to Young when he won the MVP. This was that transition. You guys were the one that messed up our universe.
I think we need to look and see who we were beating in NFC Championship games.
A couple more. So thank you. Yeah, it would have changed it. It would have it would give the Niners a couple more rings.
Well, you didn't.
Man, you went really bad. Man, you named David Howard, Jesse Solomon, Alex. Who are these people?
Well, that's the thing. Like some of the players.
And you were probably amazing. You players were probably amazing.
They weren't. No,
I wasn't even watching football in 91.
It was really the 91 draft where they, in 1990, they got Emmett, Stepnowski, Troy Aikman, right, was already there. But in 91, when they cashed in on some of these picks to get Emmitt Smith, Russell Maryland, Alvin Harper, Eric Williams, Tony Hill, Leon Lett, Larry Brown, these are guys that all contributed to the Super Bowl run that they went on. And so to me, that single trade, I mean, look at all those guys that the Cowboys got in 91.
Might have been the greatest trade in history.
I think it was. Might have been,
because it spiked you to a three Super Bowl team.
Yeah, it allowed Jimmy Johnson to build his roster. And when he got to build his roster, he won Super Bowls. And
just close your eyes and take yourself back to that time, because
he's the last head coach to have any sort of power in Dallas. You haven't
missed a drop since then, so just take.
My hope is that Jerry or somebody on Jerry's staff sees this and goes, you know what, this is interesting, Jerry. Like, the best idea that the Cowboys ever had wasn't yours. Maybe you should fire yourself. Okay.
Ooh.
Hey, we got a great week coming up. That's pretty much all the content that we have for this week. But guys, don't miss out this weekend. Commanders, Eagles, huge game in the East. Bears, Packers, oldest rivalry in the NFL. Always a fun one to watch.
Oh, the boring
got-
bowl.
We got Browns Saints. That game's not interesting. Colts Jets. That game's not interesting. But here's the game of the day. Ravens Steelers. That's a noon kickoff, folks, Central Time. We get a lot of listeners out in New York. Hey, New York, your Giants and your Jets are terrible, but thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check at 1 o'clock. Watch your Ravens Steelers. At the 3:25 game with Tony Romo on the call, we've got Chiefs at Bills. Tony loves Josh Allen just like I do. He also loves Patrick Mahomes. This is a quarterback-gasm game right here. Love this game. Bengals Chargers. That's a good game, man. The Chargers are 6-3. They're in position to get into a playoff run, and the Bengals are trying to stay alive. I think that's going to be an absolute fun one. That's a Sunday night game. And Monday night game, don't even turn on your TV. It's Texans Cowboys. Hey, I'm driving for all you Cowboy fans. Let's stop watching. Let's just turn it off. Let's not give Jerry the money. Let's just boycott the Dallas Cowboys for now until they can get their stuff right. That's my opinion. Cowboys Texans win that by 30 points. CJ Stroud is off his sophomore slump this weekend, and he's going to look great.
How dare you just pass over our game?
Your game's not a big game.
Yes, it is. It's a huge game.
Both these teams are poo right now. Seahawks,
Not
49ers in
Hey,
San Francisco.
We're
But
just struggling.
no one's going to watch your game because everyone's going to be watching the Chiefs and the Bills play.
Yeah, nobody's watching our game. Everybody's going to be focused on the Chiefs. Because we have ran Brock Purdy right now is now 5-0 against the Seahawks.
Low key, this is basically a playoff game between the Seahawks and the 49ers. That's
right
crazy.
now we're sitting in second. If we win and Arizona loses, that catapults us to first. So
Yeah,
I need Arizona to take an L, but right now I think they got a bye week. So
it's gonna be interesting. The Seahawks, obviously 4-5, need to get back in it, so they need to win. If they don't win this weekend, they're going back onto the feeding tube. If they don't win this weekend, that'll be it for the Seahawks, and they'll be on life support just like the 49ers were a week ago. You got anything else for us, Brandon? You got any nuggets? Anything you want to? Pat, anything you want to get off your chest?
Any nuggets?
Any fantasy nuggets? Give us some fantasy stuff, man. Did you have any starts and sits this week? There's a lot with all these good games going on.
I think Jared Goff gets it going again. I think they build his confidence back up. Start Jared Goff versus the Jaguars. I'm gonna look at another one right here. I'd stay away from the Bears Packers. I think that's just gonna be an ugly ass game.
New offensive coordinator could be
even Jordan Love's coming back. I mean, granted, yes, but I mean that Bears defense is for real still. Caleb's just got to sustain some drives. I think starting Justin Herbert will be good. He's coming off of back-to-back 25-point games.
And that Bengals
CJ Stroud versus the Cowboys. I think Brock Purdy versus the Seahawks at home. I think that's going to be awesome. Man, it's hard for me to say with Lamar this week just because I know the Steelers know him very well. I'm curious to see how they will do.
I'd stay away from the Ravens, Steelers, and the Chiefs, Bills. I'd stay away from both.
Yeah, I'd stay away from both of those games. I don't trust either one. I would say a good person to start right now is BP. And you probably want to start Jared Goff and
what
Justin
about
Herbert.
Matthew Stafford against New England in a must-win game for the Rams this weekend?
No,
you trust New England? Okay, I think Matthew had a rough game yesterday, but I
think he continues. That D line is coming, man. I mean, I don't know, man. I can't put my finger on it. I mean, Stafford's been up and down. I think Tua versus the Raiders sounds really good. Sounds like it could be an efficient game for him, especially getting that win on the road. And coming back home as a 12 o'clock game, I think that should be prime setup for.
Speaking of Tua, you threw an interception yesterday.
Bro, I'm tired of talking about
Everyone
Tua.
throws an interception, but then you went down and tried to make a tackle with your head. Tua,
that's
next
dumb.
time you throw an interception, run off the field, bro. Just run off the field. You don't need to be taking unnecessary risks.
He's got to stop doing that. He won't be satisfied until he can't get up.
I don't know what is
like. It's gonna take somebody to knock him smooth out for him to be like, all right, you know what?
He's been knocked out 3 times that I could think of. Knocked out, cold. Arm
no,
up
I'm talking cold, and nobody wants that. But it's just like, stop doing dumb stuff.
Oh, it makes everybody nervous, and your life is
like you shouldn't even be playing right now. Like, take a year off. Like, hey man, take a year or something. Because the way you get hit versus
last
how
night.
everybody else takes concussions,
Right? Golly.
it's like you take the worst of them. I'm like, damn, I've had 3 in my life and maybe more. But
I've had
the
8.
the 3 was like, okay, something's wrong. But this guy like gets knocked out and he's twitching up. I'm like, that's not a good thing. So
Something's not right there.
I think he just needs to sit down. That's just my opinion.
I'd like to bring this to the forefront. And this is a understated game, but because of the emergence of Bo Nix over the last few weeks, Falcons travel to Denver. Now the Falcons are 6-4. Kirk Cousins is doing some shit. He really is. 6-4, 5-5, Broncos. That's a good game. That's a good game.
Broncos win that game.
Broncos win that game. Oh boy,
They're about to give Kirk
away
fits
with that
this
division.
week.
But
They're about to give Kurtz fits this week.
anyway, lots of good matchups this weekend, folks. Lots of playoff implication games. We love this late November as we get into December football. This is what it's all about. So a lot of fun. Don't miss out. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the QB Huddle Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share. As always, comment, get involved. For my podcast partner, Brandon Newey, I'm Tim Smith. Till next time, keep those chains moving, folks.